want to give Kent State a lot of credit. To do what happened to them last week, and then them to come back and play like they did. I want to give them a lot of credit. They had a nice game plan of trying to control the clock and letting it run down and things. I think we had 9 drives all day, and they were very physical. I thought they out physicaled us in the first half, especially. But congratulations to them. I told Coach after the game that the score was much closer than 28-6. I felt like, and that he did a wonderful job with his team. They'll have a good football team. They continue to work through him. He's a good football coach, and we've got a lot to get better at. I'm sure you'll ask me about it. Well, I'll go to the second one first. We had runs certainly in for KJ, but most of them were strictly for short yardage type situations. But we were ready for that. Just obviously we didn't want to have to go to that, if that makes sense. We were missing blocks. Any type of movement bothered us. There were some times when we didn't have an RPO on the back end, and safety came in and hit us. We weren't especially throwing RPOs in the bubbles well early. So we took them off of the back end. And so we're just not, the last drive was what we were anticipating would happen the entire day. Where we're covering them up, moving them 6, 8, 4, 5, whatever it is at a time. It's frustrating right now for the kids, for the coaches, that we're not running the ball consistently, and we'll continue to work on it.
Yeah, Coach, what do you do to get the offensive line going and blocking better? I assume it's a large part of the offensive line. It could be running backs too, but
well, I think you open up the second half and we got a pin and pull, and we run outside the kick-out block. That's not the O-line. You know what I mean?
Right now, let's get to it.
There's a lot of reasons why we're not dominating the line of scrimmage like we had before, and some of it has to do with we're not moving the line of scrimmage up front like we have in the past. We're just not moving. I do think this with the RPOs on the back end of it, like you saw last week, then, you're not going to get as many rolling down in the box and all that kind of stuff. But it's not that. We're just not knocking them off the football right now. And we're not blocking particularly well on the edge. We're just not blocking particularly well, period. And AJ got in a little bit of a groove there at the end, and RW, but we're just not a real physical football team. I thought we got a little bit better in the second half, but we've got to continue to maybe we have too many runs in going at the game. We've got to figure that
out. You kind of rotated some guys on the offensive line. Are you auditioning, or is that something that you plan to do?
Well, I don't know why you'd audition. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. You'd probably want to play guys that you feel like have the talent and have the right to maybe be a starter. Maybe that the word is audition, but
that's when you don't see a lot of teams do that. Rotate.
Okay. Nudie has turf toe, and so we were checking him out before the game, and he didn't move very well. And we put him out there the first play, and he didn't move very well, so we put Stewart out there. So, and I thought he played pretty good. That was a hell of a pass, that the kid made there at the end, but I thought he had a pretty good game. Knew he had turf toe.
Luke made some big catches for you in the second half when you needed them. The tight end, talk about him just coming through there for you.
Yeah, I mean, we had second 18, and he got about 8, maybe 7, 8 to get us to the next one, and it just seemed like he was, he turned up and got a first down on one. He's a tough guy. He's blocking better, but he's a guy we've got to continue to target.
Antonio Greer again. First game,
Yeah, first play. It's a pretty good way to start it.
Yeah.
Plays, He's still not. I don't think he's still 100%, to be honest with you. But we needed him to play with Pooh being out too, in the first half. So I think Greer will end up being better and against the run and things of that nature. But right now we're still trying to figure out who that other guy behind Jaheim, but besides Jaheim Thomas is, and who's been hurt. He didn't scrimmage in either one of the scrimmages, and then he gets, misses a half here. We think that he could be that guy, but we'll have to look at the tape and figure out between him and Greer. Yeah, wasn't that crazy? He catches everything. Now I kept telling Dan, I kept saying, let's go, because I didn't want to get it reviewed. They're going to review it anyway. It doesn't matter how fast you snap the ball, but the guy can catch, and we didn't particularly throw it well today. So we got to figure out all that kind of stuff, but he made some Tesla catches, that he always does. Armstrong made a really nice catch down in our end zone too.
A lot of the transfers on defense flash today, not just Greer, but Jeff Coat made some plays, and you mentioned Jaheim. I mean, you talked a lot about hitting in the portal. How confident are you with the decisions you made going in the portal and through the first 2 games, how those guys have played on that side of the football?
Well, I think they played well, defensively. I don't know. We had a lot of sacks and things of that nature. They haven't scored many points on us, but I was frustrated at half because we couldn't get off the field, and we weren't giving up points, but there was very, very much time being, the game plan was going exactly like they wanted it to go. And minus scoring a lot of points. But I think every one of those guys on defense are contributing to us. I mean, what would happen if we didn't have Stewart today? Obviously, Jaheim on the other side, and then you're talking about all these guys on the inside. So, Greer picked a pass for a touchdown. So yeah, we're very fortunate. We hit pretty good for what we think.
Sam, Kent State had the ball for 20 minutes in the first half. You had it for 22 in the second. Was that like emphasis at halftime, or just kind of how it went?
No, we just trying to get them off the field, and then we were just trying to score. Obviously that last drive, what was that, 6 minutes or something like that, and then we got the ball somewhere around there. But no, we were trying to score in any way that we could. We were trying to find runs that we could run. And in a game, funny, I mean, it's different now. When we had a guy wide open early in the middle, we dropped the catch, and last week we were catching everything, and we made the 4th and 1s and all those kind of stuff. And when you don't do that, the game changes. The time changes, the possessions change, and early we couldn't throw it, we couldn't catch it, and couldn't run it. Defense kept us in the game. I don't know, I can't remember what your question was, but did I answer it?
Sam, I just want to follow something Trey asked about earlier with the offensive line. Do you anticipate continuing to rotate guys, or do you think you might be able to start paring it down, pick your best 5, maybe starting here in the next couple of weeks?
Guys, we're not the only team in the world that's played 5 linemen. I mean, somebody's playing 6 or 7. I'm trying to figure out who our best linemen are. And if I feel like they've earned opportunities to play, what's the difference in an O lineman and a freaking D lineman? we played 9 of them guys. I mean, if I feel like they're good enough to help us win, it'll help us in the long run. I understand that we're supposed to play 5 guys. We do, but that ain't why we're not running the ball, guys.
And you mentioned the long pass they got down to the goal line, but y'all kept him out of the end zone, the
Yeah.
goal line stand. Just what did you think about that sequence there, and how big was that?
I thought it was unbelievable. I mean, 27 coming there, they made the first one, and then we ganged the next one, and then landing at the end. That was unbelievable. Boy, he took off like a running 100 meters, and took off in there and made a huge. Again, the outcome of the game was going to be we were going to win, whether they did or not. But it showed a little bit. I was really excited for the kids after the in the locker room.
Sam, I don't know anything about the offensive line. A couple defensive questions.
Listen, we've made too much out of that. I'm sorry that I've coached line for 30 some years. I know how to coach offensive line, and I'm trying to get our guys ready, but I should not. I should have answered it just like that. All right, Bob.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I thought maybe the biggest sequence was when you guys didn't get the 4th down. It's 14-6. They got a lot of momentum. Kent State does. They're all excited. Then you guys push them back to where they can't even try a field goal.
When I went for it on 4th,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
They bailed me out.
how big was that? Yeah, and what'd you think of the defensive sequence there?
Well, I love them. I mean, I can tell you the analytics say to go for it. The analytics says don't. And I went for it. And now we went for it on 4th and 4 too. And we end up scoring. You know what I mean? But I told the team, I said, I thought we was going to make it. And I thought if we don't, I felt like defense would hold them for no more than a field goal. I didn't know they was going to put it back and make them punt. But I'm not doing the analytics. Now I do got a guy up there and I asked him. That was kind of dumb.
But I mean, yeah, how big was that sequence for the defense?
It was huge. But going for it, 4th and 1 on your own 34. I don't care what the book says. And Lane does it all the time. Guys do it all the time. Hell, I don't. And I did.
And then
Not smart.
I know you haven't played Alabama and Georgia back to back, but you still haven't given up a touchdown. How well do you think the defense played today, and how well have they played these first 2 games?
I think they've done well. I mean, we played teams like this in the past. They scored more than 6 on us. You know what I mean? I think we've done well. We're still learning. You know, but I think they're playing hard. You know, and we're still learning and trying to get better. And you know, right now, guys, when you go through 2 games, you really, in all honesty, you don't know what you have yet. I mean, you got to get them out there to really figure out who do you really have. And I know we have a lot of practices. We had spring ball for some of them and all that kind of stuff. But we really don't know what we have in a game yet until we get them out there. We'll find out who should play more reps than others as that continues to go down the line. But I thought, were you asking about the D-line? Oh, you were asking about me messing up on 4th and 1. I was the happiest guy in the place, I can tell you that.
Coach, did you bouncing off his question about that defensive stand? I know there's an intentional grounding penalty that was in there too that aided that, but did you feel like that
He
sequence
threw it
started
because he
turning
was
things?
harassed, so I mean, there's a reason it was
Right,
intentional.
exactly.
You know, there's a
But
reason.
did you feel like that sequence started turning the momentum back to the Hogs?
I did. Yeah. I mean, because we hadn't done anything, and then we took that drive and scored, and absolutely, and it kind of fired us up a little bit, and I mean, you can look at the goal line stand too. Then we kept the ball the rest of the game too, so that type of momentum certainly big, and we couldn't get it anywhere. We did stop them in the first half, and they kicked field goals, but we just couldn't generate some type of momentum, and we got to figure it out.
Max was called on early and often to punt. Just how would you,
Who?
Max Fletcher, the
Yeah.
punter, was called on early and often. Just how would you expect,
I love your comments, man.
reflect on his performance?
Early and often. I think early he kicked good and often he kicked good. I don't remember him shanking one or anything like that. I don't know what he averaged, Kyle. 45. Wasn't as good as last week. He averaged 49. But did they have any punt returns for yardage? I don't think they did they? 45 net. I think that's pretty good early and quite a few times.
You said through 2 games that you don't know what you've got yet, kind of, but
Still don't.
you got BYU coming in here next week. Do you wish you knew what you had a little bit more right now?
You guys got some questions now. Well, I know we have KJ, and I know we've got left tackle, right? I'm trying to find more than 22 guys. I know who we have as the starters, and I'm trying to find out how many guys can we win with. And we've had the greatest opportunity in America to do that with Western Carolina and Kent State, and we're 2-0. So if I'm trying to find out who we can win an SEC with, and I'm not concerned about BYU, and because we played 3 corners and 4 linebackers and all that, I think we're helping our football team for SEC play.
Hey, Coach, I'm just curious what the locker room was like at halftime. What would you guys do to try to get them up? And
Trey, it wasn't good, bud. But we were talking about, we talk about adversity all the time, and we're saying it don't have to get there when you just solve problems and all that. But when you have an entire half of problems, it wasn't a panic, but it was basically we're hitting them. They're gaining 3 when we hit them. Basically, I thought we were getting outstrained, wanted to, and we talked about that and how we're going to fix it. We'd had a few things that caused them trouble on defense, so we continued to want to go on that. And on offense, I told Dan, I said, I don't care. I'm not worried about how many rush yards we have, and I'm trying to score a point. However we're going to score it, I don't care. But we just weren't throwing and catching it very good either. So, a lot of times you can hang your hat on one of them. And so we just challenged the offense to be more physical, strain harder. And I'm trying to make something a lot better out of the second half than what I really believe that it was. It was better, but it still wasn't good. And so but I think they played harder. And
you mentioned not are we a team that needs to get surprised? You won the game, obviously.
yeah,
But do you think you can build on this a little bit from maybe a little bit of a wake up call?
I think you got a great point. You look at around the country, and it's happened for years. You get surprised. In other words, you get surprised and you lose, or you get surprised and you win. Well, obviously, the second is a lot better than the first. I felt like we had a good week of practice. I did. I thought our distractions were to a minimum. Obviously, Rocket, you know what I mean when you have key players that get hurt, all that kind of stuff. But we didn't come out like I thought we would come out on a home opener, and that bothers me. But I think we can fix. I love our kids, and I love the locker room, the culture. I think we'll fix all this, Trey. I really do, and I think we'll play a much better football game against no disrespect, a much better program, football team coming in here next week, and I think we'll show and have a much better passionate football team out there than we've had today. Thank you, guys.